I would like to call to order this first meeting of the Oconee County Council for the year 2019, January 8th being the date. The first order of business, as usual, is a public comment session. And I'm sorry for the pronunciation. I think it's Sarah Melendez or Menendez, Miss Melendez?
That's correct. Soraya Melendez.
All right,
yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, council members. First of all, I want to say thank you for your service, and I just wanted to share with you and my thoughts and ideas on this opportunity. So in 1994, Congress designated the Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday as a national day of service and charged the Corporation of National and Community Service with leading this effort. Martin Luther King Day of Service is intended to empower individuals, strengthen communities, bridge barriers, create solutions to social problems, and move us closer to the King's vision of a beloved community. The MLK Day of Service is observed as a day on, not a day off. As such, many people set this day aside to participate in community service projects all around our different states. After reaching out to several cities within Oconee County, and including the county office, it has been brought to my attention that there is a gap. No community outreach, parades, acknowledgement of MLK Day are done traditionally in Oconee County. There are several examples that different states in counties, sister county state, do, such as volunteering on MLK Day, taking initiatives to take a walk, celebrate MLK Day within the community, have Martin Luther King a lecture series, or MLK community projects. Such projects are out there, they're just not being supported and acknowledged at a city level and a county level. So there is the United Way of Oconee County Senior Home Repair Program that is very much needed to help our seniors and veterans. This is just a thought, participating, and I know we do have it, but it could be something to kick off. It's like a litter pickup, so we can do that on city parks, within the city limits at a county level, beautifying local community parks as well. So these are just different ideas that came to mind. MLK Day has been a national holiday for over 30 years. And as with national holidays, most banks, post office, and other county and around the country are closed, markets are closed for trading. Many of our children and teens don't have school on that day either. In conclusion, we need to bring and continue to bring communities together culturally to serve a higher purpose. Honoring MLK Day is also another way of honoring our community. Essentially, community equals wealth. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. And I failed to mention we are implementing a new procedure. Ms. Smith has, go ahead, our cards. Instead of interrupting you when you're speaking, if you run near to the 4 minutes, we'll have the 1 minute remaining warning sign, and then time's up. So hopefully that'll help go smoother and not be rude with interrupting. All right, next is Ms. Jean Jennings.
Good evening, County Council. I'm Jean Jennings. Tonight I will be speaking about the new County Council electing a new chairman for the County Council. I would hope that you will be careful in who you choose, that you would select someone who has the best interest of county taxpayers' money and how that money will be spent. Someone who doesn't have to be the center of attention at all times. Someone who doesn't talk all the time, because if you pick him, you may not get home from county council meetings until midnight. Someone who doesn't let local, state politicians and owners of the local newspaper in Seneca influence him in decisions concerning Oconee County business. The person I'm talking about is Mr. Davis. Last year, this same county council member asked to set up a meeting with me because he didn't like some of the comments I made at the county council meeting concerning him. Meeting was set up for March the 12th, 2018 at 2 p.m. at the Oconee County offices. Mr. Davis got there at 2:10. I was early, he was late. 3 people were in attendance: me, Katie, the county clerk, county council clerk, and Mr. Davis. I began the meeting saying I was coming under the Freedom of Speech Act. I took my notes and questions with me, and I still have those. At several county council meetings, after our meeting, I asked about getting a copy of the meeting. I didn't get it then. Finally, I got it before a later county council, at a later county council meeting, looked it over during the meeting and found errors in the copy. After the meeting, I asked the clerk about this. She said to ask Mr. Davis. I asked Mr. Davis. He said he did it from memory. There was a time span between our meeting and the county council meeting when I got the copy. Like I said earlier, I took my paper with the questions that I wanted to ask at our meeting, and I still have those. Did Mr. Davis not take notes or write anything down pertaining to our meeting? A couple of the questions I asked was why he and Mr. Kane met with the governor. In the article in the paper, it sounded like none of the other county council members, Oconee County Council members, were invited. They were, but chose not to attend. His answer was he and Mr. Kane and some of the Pickens County Council members shared several great things about Oconee, and they told the governor that they could use his help in our area. Another thing was the annexation meeting in Clemson. Mr. Davis said the developer invited him. I think probably Mr. Davis invited himself or worked it out where he was invited. Why would he be invited and other county council members not? Thank you.
Thank you,
Question? Can I ask a question, Ms. Jennings, or I need to call her back?
As we don't have a chair at this point, generally we have just the public comments, then we have the council member comments to follow, so we'll just stick strictly with that order
What
of
about
business.
if I have a comment that I want to ask her a question and then I'll comment? Should I wait?
Yes, sir, if you could.
Okay.
Mr. Jerry Barnett.
I'm Jerry Barnett. All of you should know me by now. I represent a special interest group, me. As you know by now, except for one of you, I can be a bit of a one-man gang. I take my duty and my oath to the Constitution of this great nation very, very seriously. It adds to the oath that you guys took just a few minutes ago. Mine says that I will defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, a domestic enemy could sit right up there if he doesn't understand that this is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. I know we have some people from a gated kingdom that would love to rule the rural landmass of Oconee County. Now, they live in a very small geographic area, and what they do there is none of my business. They can weigh each other's dogs, measure each other's grass, spy on each other, and sue each other till kingdom come. But when they come to my territory, that's mine. That is my heritage. That is my birthright. They need to understand that. The Constitution of this great nation, the 4th and 5th articles of the Bill of Rights addresses that. So does the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of this great nation. Now, there's a foul odor still in the air from this shameful primary. And what y'all did to a sitting council member, 3 of you. You know who you are, and I'm not going to call names. And it shamed us all what you did and the way you conducted yourself. And there's a foul odor left from that. It leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. And it, you know, that's a trait we Scotch-Irish have. We have a very long memory. And our memory, most of the time, outlives us. So we go back to William Wallace. So we're the people that have fought this nation's wars. With this southern Appalachia, all up and down the Appalachian Ridge, we're the people that have fought this nation's wars, starting with the Revolution. So just remember that when you start out from your gated kingdom to conquer the rural landmass. Thank you.
Ms. Barnett, one more public comment, Ms. Joyce Sherrick.
Good evening, gentlemen. I came just for the swearing in, and I had no intentions of saying a word. But I just want to be, you know, my job and my passion is what we do for democracy. And I want to let you know, as a group, all 5 of you, how I admire you for taking your time, not only to run and campaign, and when the voters spoke for all of you, every time you've run, numbers were there, and the voters spoke loudly. And I'm proud of the way you represent your districts, and I'm very proud to be in my job and what we do, clean, fair elections, and I admire you all for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next section is the council member comments. Mr. Hart, to your question, historically, the chair has allowed some questioning from council to a citizen member. It's generally been for clarification, so if it can be meant for illumination purposes, and we can keep on that rail, then that would be fine. Otherwise, I open it up for council member comments at this point.
Ms. Jennings, will you step up to the mic, please? Ms. Jennings, do you think that Mr. Davis tried to stop you from using your freedom of speech, the First Amendment?
Yes, I do.
Well, in my opinion, I think that Mr. Davis ought to disqualify himself from this leadership role on this council because of his actions trying to silence you. 2 of our people here just got swore in, and they swore to uphold the Constitution, to support and defend. That means that since they were sworn in, they're supposed to be representing you and your rights under the Constitution. So Mr. Kane and Mr. Elliott, they have a responsibility to support you because you are a member of this community in this county. How many other people will have their freedom of speech taken away? I don't know how many we have to have, but 1 is too much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other council comments? All right, with that then, we'll enter into a moment of silence. Thank you. Now, if you'd like to, join me in a prayer. Our Father, together, our Father. I'm thankful that you are our Father and we are your children, and you've created us for unity, to do good in this world, to consider others before ourselves, to consider you and your truth and your love utmost, and show by those actions, by that way of thinking, what good things can be done. So I'm thankful for that position, for the opportunity that you've given us to live, to move, to have our being. Given us the opportunity to be a part of this county, this beautiful county, and this county government, which is here for service. I pray that you would just infuse into each council member and all staff a heart devoted to service, to public service. Inspire us, that we be motivated out of love, to do good for our neighbor, and no ill motives. Let this meeting be your meeting, your will be done, and in your name I pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance. Mr. McCall.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order of business is approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes to approve. First, the December 4th, 2018 regular meeting minutes. I trust you have those in front of you and have had a chance to review them. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion, any changes, alterations? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Then the minutes of the December 19, 2018 special meeting. Again, I trust you have those minutes before you. Do I have a motion to approve? Excuse me. Yes, a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion regarding changes, alterations, additions? With that then, do all in favor please say aye?
Aye.
Any
Not
opposed?
present.
Okay. Any opposed? 4-0. The next matter of business would be the election of officers. The first office is the council chairman. Procedure.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The procedure would be to take nominations from the council members. If there is more than one nomination, then we would take votes on the nominations in order. Do I have a nomination for council chair?
Mr. Root, I nominate Julian Davis.
I nominate Paul Kane.
Second.
All right. We don't need any seconds. It was a very close race. I think Mr. Kane may have crossed the line first. So we'll go with Mr. Davis as the first nomination. Mr. Kane will be second if Mr. Davis does not receive a majority. All in favor of Mr. Davis serving as council chair, please say aye.
Aye.
That is a majority, being 3 of the 5. Before we close, there would be no need to vote for Mr. Kane at that point, but before we close, would any of the 3 voting for want to reconsider their vote? With no reconsideration of any votes, Mr. Davis would be elected by a majority of 3-2 as council chair. At that point, I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Root.
Sir.
I'd like to open up the floor for council vice chairman nominations.
Paul Kane.
There's a second.
Second.
Any other nominations? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, open up the floor for council chairman pro tem.
Glenn Hart.
I nominate John Elliott.
All right, we'll start with Mr. Hart first.
You withdrew. Did you withdraw?
I don't want it.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Hart withdraws. Mr. Kane, all in favor? Sorry, Mr. Elliott, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Go through the reappointment of appointed officials. Clerk to Council, Katie Smith.
I nominate Katie Smith.
Second.
Any other nominations? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Council chaplain currently is Mr. David Root.
I nominate David Root.
Second.
Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Appointment of committees, Budget, Finance, and Administration. I would like for, all of us are on this committee. I'd like for Mr. John Elliott to chair that committee. Do I have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Law Enforcement, Public Safety, Health and Welfare, I'd like for Mr. McCall to chair that, as well as Mr. Elliott and myself.
Make a motion.
Got a second myself or not?
Yeah.
We need a second.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Plan and Economic Development, Mr. Paul Kane to chair, Mr. Elliott, Mr. Davis on that. Do I hear a motion?
Make a
So-
motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Real Estate Facilities Land Management, I'll chair that, along with Mr. Elliott and Mr. Kane.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Transportation, I'd like Mr. Hart to chair that as well, on that committee, Mr. Davis and Mr. Kane. You okay with it?
Motion to approve.
I hear second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, appointment of council representatives for the Appalachian Council of Government Board. I'd like Mr. Elliott to do that. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oconee Business Education Partnership. I'll continue to serve on that unless somebody else does.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 10 at the top, Mr. Dave Eldridge to continue to serve in that capacity.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The 2019 meeting schedule is in front of you. I think we've worked through, appreciate the work everybody's done on that moving forward. Any changes or concerns or anything? If not, do I hear a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have no public hearings, no third and final readings, no first reading, no first and final, no discussion items. Board and commission appointments, on the planning commission, we do have, District 1. Do I hear a nomination?
I nominate Michael Smith.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Any other nominations for District 1? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? District 3, Planning Commission nomination. Do I hear a nomination?
I nominate Alex Vassy for reappointment.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other nominations for District 3? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have one at-large seat. We do have a nomination in that.
I nominate Gwen McPhail for reappointment.
I nominate, Marta Walling. Ms. McPhail has been on that forever. I think we need somebody new.
Okay. Well, do I have a second for Ms. McPhail first?
Second.
Awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry, I made the motion, excuse me.
Second.
All right, do I have a second for Morta?
Aye.
Okay. We'll vote with, Ms. McPhail first. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Ms. McPhail will continue on the Planning Commission. The Arts and Historical Commission, District 1, is there a nomination?
I nominate Mary Nori.
Maury.
I'm sorry, Mari Nori, excuse me.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any other nominations for District 1? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? District 3, do I have a nomination for Art and Historical Commission?
I apologize, Mr. Davis, that was actually for District 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's revote on that, sorry.
I don't think we have, I
So-
think we only have one question there.
But that's District 3. Okay. Do I need to revote on that with District 3, or just to?
Does everyone agree that Mr. King was nominating someone for his district, District 3 instead of District 1?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I was doing.
Okay.
By acclamation, it was for
apologize.
District 3.
So,
Thank you.
District,
Maybe it moved to another district.
District 1, do I have a nomination for Arts and Historical Commission at this time?
We do not.
Okay. All right, we'll pass that through to the January 22nd one. Do I have an at-large Arts and Historical Commission? I do not see one at this time, so we'll pass that to January 22nd. If Ms. Smith, you'll take care of that. Okay. All right. There's no old business. Is there any new business? If not, can I get a motion for executive session for 1, to discuss personnel matter in relation to interim county administrator, and 2, to receive legal advice and discuss opioid litigation?
So moved. Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Reconvene.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No action was taken in executive session. We do have some motions on the action items. Mr.
Yes,
Reed?
Mr. Chairman, going in reverse order as to the legal advice regarding the opioid litigation, no action is necessary at this point. It was discussed, you received my advice, and that litigation is proceeding forward. The first item, discussing the personnel matter related to the interim county administrator, ties into our action items, so we'll move out of that discussion to the action item entitled Discuss and Appoint Successor Interim Administrator. As discussed during executive session, drafted a motion. We've worked this out, but no vote has been taken. The motion is stated as a motion to appoint Amanda Brock as successor interim administrator, replacing Mr. D. Richard Martin, who will return to his former position in a full-time capacity, receiving his current rate of pay until the end of April. Ms. Brock will receive a pay increase as discussed during her service as interim administrator and for 3 months thereafter, at council's discretion, as no contract of employment is created hereby, in order to ensure a smooth transition to a permanent administrator or a new interim administrator. This appointment will become effective upon Ms. Brock's written acceptance of the same.
So moved.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will draft up a memorandum and sign this off, trailing with this motion, and furnish it to Human Resources and Finance and wherever else needs to get a copy.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.